We start off with Jack. Any particular favourites you want to mention?
But for me, I'm looking at wow impact, and I always get drawn to six solely for if I'm thinking of grand scenic. I want that foreground with that puddle of water in the front leading me into the layers of the mountains, and I just want it printed. That's how I try and look at an image. I just want to see it big. That really stands out to me. But it's a tricky one as well because I really like 15. I think that the light in 15 with just the hint of the rainbow in the corner is just a masterpiece as well. The only thing that bugs me is that little bottom right corner is a little bit distracting. But I'd say, yeah, 6, 15, 19 as well. I absolutely love 19. Again, I think I'm just drawn to that mountain view leading out to the puddle of water. I think it's a really unique picture that I've not seen before. And the last one that I'm with is number 3, just for sheer impact. They're the kind of 4 that I'm really torn with, and I don't know what I voted for them in the past, but the more I see them, the more I'm attracted to those.
Everybody's changed their minds about images. It goes through the
Okay,
process.
cool. As long as that's normal.
It's absolutely normal. Anna, would you like to?
Yeah, so I can't remember all the ones that I chose, but
That's fine.
it's interesting, like the 6 and the 10 I viewed as quite similar in some ways with the layering.
Yeah.
And I went for 10 because of the symmetry. I really like the just a very simple color palette, and like I said, it's just got this symmetrical feeling to it with the kind of lines coming in from the bottom corners. And then the layers going backwards. So I really love that one. And then number 12, I absolutely loved. It's such a simple image, but and the way I judge the image is really just like gut feel, like pulling on heartstrings sort of feel to it. And you can really feel being in that place with like the wind whirling and the snow coming off, or I don't know whether it's spray or snow. And it's just got a really impactful feel to it. And I think the composition is really nice as well. Some of the other images I liked, and then I didn't love the lack of space at the top. This has got really nice spacing. You've got that kind of curve in the bay, and then I liked how the left-hand side slope doesn't kind of meet that sea. So compositionally, I think it's really well done, and the simplicity I think hides the complexity, to Alex's point earlier. I also really liked number 5. I spent a little while deliberating whether this counted as a grand landscape, but I think you can see sky behind some of that mist. So in the end, I figured it's not just mist at the top, there is sky there. And I guess what I really liked about this one, again, simple color palette, but the way the black lines kind of fade and meet into brighter lines, those kind of curvy, I don't know whether it's a river or a road or a path but
Yeah.
One becomes another, the dark becomes the light. So I found that quite interesting and unique.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. Matt.
Well, we'll start on number 4. So when I'm judging, like, my initial reaction is what haven't I seen before? And I have seen this particular place a lot and have been there a lot, but this I feel is quite a different take on it, created by the flow of that foreground ice, which is just pretty amazing to have that in the composition, the textures, all of the detail to uncover. So that stands out to me as something that's a little bit out of the ordinary.
It's worth saying on this one that is actually a single shot as well. It's not a stitch or anything.
Oh, wow. I thought it was a pano when I first looked at it.
Yeah, it's a 24mm lens.
That'd only be possible with a
That's only 24
panorama head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
it almost
it's
has
literally-
like I was going to say slightly surreal quality to it because of the way that ice is in the foreground.
And you have no sense of scale either, which is amazing.
Number 8. So I have a pretty good idea where this is. It looks Tasmanian to me, with the pandanus tree on the left there. And you do see a lot of mountain photos in Tasmania, but this one does stand out. It's really classic, but just so beautifully handled, really beautifully balanced, given how complex the foreground is and all the details throughout the scene. The light coming through has been tastefully treated and isn't over the top. It's just a really beautiful rendition of that landscape that says a lot about that space. And finally, I'll just talk about number 12, but briefly, because it has been discussed. One of the other things that I look for is atmosphere and feeling. And I do think this is actually the snow that's being like a snowdrift kind of blown over the hill. And that's what we're seeing against the dark water there. So it communicates a lot of harshness to me. I can almost imagine being in this place because of the way that this photograph is speaking. So, and I agree that compositionally it's so well handled, especially in such a hostile environment. Like the photographer would have been getting blown around all over the place while standing here to take this photo. And we don't really score on difficulty, but I think it's pretty exceptional creation from what they were experiencing.
Okay, Jennifer.
Yes, I knew number 4. I'm really drawn to that one. So for those that don't know me, grand landscapes are not my forte. I am very much am known for my small scenes and abstracts. So for grand landscapes, they really have to pull me in. I really want to feel like I'm standing there experiencing it. And I also look for I just like good organization of compositional elements in these grand scenes. They're not so chaotic and they're well organized. And this one stood out to me for a number of reasons. A, I feel like I'm standing right there. 2, I don't really understand the context. Like I think I do, but I don't. I also think I don't. The more I look at it, I'm really drawn to those semicircles, the texture in the foreground. I appreciate how all the elements of the large chunks of ice aren't overlapping. There's space. I know the one on the right is overlapping a little, but you can't always get it perfect. But I think they did a really nice job organizing all these elements, and there's a definite flow to this scene, guided by the textures, the circles, and my eye just kind of continually flows through. So to me, this is a really good grand landscape. It's also somewhere I've never seen before. And drawn to 19 and... Or is it 6 right in front of me?
6.
So I was drawn to both of these for similar reasons. In the end, I went with 6. There's just something spectacular about that pond puddle. Again, the lack of context is kind of crazy. I'm assuming it's a lake or a pond. But those layers are crazy. And at first I debated, like, is this... I don't know. I mean, it is grand, but also like, were they isolating this with a telephoto? I struggled with that a little bit, but in the end, those layers just got me. And especially that little S curve where you can see the valley, a glacier, a river, whatever is feeding into that. Also, these little details are everywhere, but the layers and the atmospheric perspective are what really draw me in. And then third, I actually kind of the same thing. I debated back and forth between 12 and, or actually, no, I'm sorry. No, 8 or 9. I debated between both of these because I think they're both spectacularly done grand landscapes. Number 8, though, won over just a bit more for me, kind of for the same reasons Matt already mentioned. There's a lot going on here. It's very well organized. To me, it clicks all the check boxes on my grand landscapes, like what I look for. The light is spectacular. Again, you've got that atmospheric perspective in the back with the mountains. You've got very slight light. It's not super harsh, but I enjoy it with the plants, the rocks. Everything's kind of coming together in a symphony of elements. And that one main peak, kind of to the 2/3 on the left, is just framed perfectly. I even like that one little rock sitting on top of the 2 rocks coming together to the right of the plant, the bush, the tree. But this one just kept drawing me back in, and it makes me feel like I'm standing there taking it. So yeah, those were my choices.
Thank you very much.
So for my sins, I've spent way too many days of my life in the mountains with Alex. So I tend to have kind of similar opinions as he does. And the main thing that I'm looking for, apart from light and composition, is originality, and particularly landscapes that I don't have a damn clue where they are, because it shows that the people have really gone to a great effort to find something new and to be original in terms of location. The strongest candidate, I think, for me is so before you switch to 16, I really like 12, and I agree with everyone's sentiments. I don't have anything else to add there. I do also really love 6. So I really love 7, just for it being kind of like an inverted sky below the sky that is hidden in haze or fog. Yeah, I really like that one. My favorite is definitely 16. Compositionally, you just cannot fault it. It's got a strong kind of an S-curve going into the image. It's got a great kind of gravitational pull to it because you're up on a high ridge. You've got perfect continuity from foreground to midground to background, and it has an incredible range of tones without being extremely punchy. You know, if you look at the histogram of that, it doesn't go all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And to have that range of tones and that atmosphere, and with none of us knowing where it is, I would say that's my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm looking at what the photographers brought to the location as much as anything else. I think there's a few photos there where the locations are just so incredible, a few aerials and so on. But there are a number here that to me show that the photographer is incredibly skilled. So the ones that jump out, number 4, those amazing ice patterns. Number 8, the shot from Tasmania. We've seen so many from Tasmania. I think Lake Oberon. This is a different view. It's beautifully composed and executed in every way. But I think, that takes a lot of experience to put together a photograph like that. 9's also very strong. 17 was my personal pick because I don't think it's about, the most spectacular light or anything. It's a really interesting geometric composition, which in itself is incredibly unusual. A strong, almost duotone color palette, just orange and this sort of blue-gray. So I think that's really lovely, and I guess green as well. Yeah, and these images generally with foreground, so number 11 as well. So those are the images that I focus on, really.
Yeah, well, I'll go from Alex for a second. This is probably my favourite. Maybe I'm familiar with it, and I don't see. It's an interesting take on it. I haven't seen this composition of it before. I love the qualities of light in it. That slightly pink light. I was a big fan of this one. I was a bit worried about the hot zone on the cloud when I first saw it, but I love the three-dimensionality of it, the sense of the undergrowth and that sort of early autumnal colour where you've got the larches going yellow in the backgrounds. And I think this was one of my favourites as well. Nice atmosphere. Matt?
Yeah, for me, my favorite for sure is number 4. Pretty much echoing everything that's already been said about it. It's just a freak show landscape, like super jealous of that photo. I think it's amazing. The patterns and the crazy stuff in the foreground is amazing. And then I really liked, it's grown on me a lot since we went through prejudging, but I really like number 9. I was originally kind of put off by the blown highlights and the fog on the left, but the more I sit with it, the more I like it. It's just, there's a lot to look at. My eyes constantly just looking around. It's just lots of complexity in that scene, and there's just lots to see, and I just love that about this image. Also, no idea where it was captured. Somewhere in Europe, I suspect. And then I'm gonna have to go with Alex. I really like 17. I think it's kind of like you've simplified all these complex elements. You have really interesting shapes. That rock on the right that kind of juts out is super interesting how it creates a framing for the sky. So those are my comments.
Brilliant.
Yeah, for me, grand landscapes are very personal, and I like them a lot, especially when there is a foreground, a middle ground, and a background, and there's interest in every part of the image. So my pick from all of these would be number 9, though that may not appeal to some folks. I really like, for the same reasons that Matt described and the others, there's interest in every part of the image, and there's actually a scene that is 3-dimensional that I can feel like I want to be there. And the next one would be 18, though that's a classic grand landscape, and there's some interest in every part of the image, and there's actually everything up to the sky that's included, and it just draws me into it, especially with the lake being
an incredible geology going on in that one as well. So it's these button sort of like rounded rocks.
I do like number 4 now, especially after all the discussions about it. I didn't think so much about it before, but there is a element of surprise there. It kind of makes you wonder where it is and what it is, and without the context and things like that. But again, it's a beautifully crafted image, very beautifully composed. Again, there's 3-dimensionality and a foreground, middle ground, and a background, and the little bit of color in it. So those are my 4.
Thank you very much, Rajesh. I'll stop the share there.